Welcome back to Afternoon Musical Adventure. I'm Sharon Hickox. Woo! Thank you, fan club. I'm Sharon Hickox, and I work for Notable Music Therapy Services in Reno, Nevada. Today, our musical adventure is all about percussion. Okay, let's think about what is percussion. Percussion is basically stuff you hit. There are two categories of percussion. Well, I gotta back that up. Instruments that you hit. Percussion falls into two categories, right? Non-pitched percussion and pitched percussion. Pitched percussion are instruments that you can play a melody on. You can play Mary Had a Little Lamb, something that had that would be a melody. Non-pitched percussion are the instruments that you can't play a melody on, but you still make music with. And while we're doing that today, because a lot of percussion is really not from the United States, it's from different parts of the world. Its original origins, almost all of it really is Africa, but some of it's been made known in Latin America and all kind of places. So today we're going to kind of go through some different instruments in different parts of the world, and hopefully you can play along. And we're also going to find some ways that you can use some instruments at home. So let's get started. The first one that I want to bring out for you in my instruments is the clave. The clave is a really cool instrument, and its name is two things. One is the instrument, these little wooden sticks, and one is a rhythm that goes with that instrument. So first of all, let you listen to the instrument. It's loud, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And then let me play for you the clave rhythm. And that pattern repeats over and over and over in Latin American music. You might not always notice it right at the center, but if you listen in there, you'll hear that. So I'd like you to invite you to clap that rhythm along with me. So my helpers here, Jonathan and Nathan, are going to clap with me. Ready, go. Awesome. Now, you might not have claves at home. In fact, probably most of you don't. But you can use things like wooden spoons and spatulas. And the interesting thing about all these kind of instruments is that they all sound a little bit different. So let me pass them around here. Some are different sizes. Here we all got two each. Now listen to mine. Listen to Jonathan's. And listen to Nathan's. Nathan's don't sound quite as good, do they? But they all make that same clave beat. And I'm just kidding. They're just a little quieter. So see if you can't find in your house a spatula, a spoon, a wooden spoon, a regular spoon, something like that you can play along with us. All right? So I'm going to go back to, would you like these ones?
No.
You good with them?
I'm figuring out a better way.
Okay. I'm going to go back to the clave, and we're going to play, hear that beat. Hopefully you've had a chance to grab something yourself. You can even do it with pens or pencils. It's just going to make a smaller sound, but the important part is that clave beat. Ready, go. Super. Okay, now we've got the clave beat down. We're going to add some other instruments that are from Latin America. So I'd like to bring out the conga and the bongos. We'll put these aside. Could you grab the bongos and Nathan grab the conga? And I'll put the claves up here for a second. Now, I want you to have a look at these two instruments. Can we see them in the screen? These are the bongos, okay? And these instruments are quite a bit smaller than the conga. We know these in Latin music. These are what we associate it with. their roots probably really are African as well, because the slave trade was in North and South America, and it all came in and it got adapted. But the instruments as we know it is mostly in Latin music. So I'm going to invite first Jonathan to play along with me while I do the clave rhythm, and then Nathan to play along too. Do you think you can do that?
Yes.
All right, good. So I'm going to, first of all, I'll start the clave, and then Jonathan will add, and then in a little bit Nathan will add. Got it?
Yep.
Now sometimes you play these just between your legs, you hold them, but right now today we have them on a stand. With whatever you've gotten out, and as a matter of fact, if you don't have anything in your hands but your hands, they work great too. All right, now we have some other Latin instruments up here that we want to add to our ensemble. These are maracas, and you play them in pairs. Okay, let me hand these over. Then back here, we also have a cabasa. Now, cabasa is a pretty cool instrument, and I believe if you've been watching my musical adventures, you saw the cabasa the other day, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so the cabasa, you just hold in your hand, and it has these metal beads that run across the metal frame. Can you see that? Pretty cool sound to it. I put that one over there. All right, what do we have next? We have a guiro. Now this is another favorite of mine, and it sort of looks like a fish. Here's the tail. We put our fingers underneath here, and then it makes a different sound each direction. Watch out for the fish. Okay, good. Now, we're getting a lot of instruments, aren't we? Let's see. Now, why don't we play a little bit until we add some more of them? Which one would you like? Would you like to come and join us?
Yes.
Okay, which one would you like, Jenny?
The maracas.
Okay, Nathan?
I'll take the cabasa.
Okay, you sticking with these, or would you like a different one?
I'll stick with these.
Okay, and
I can take them off the stand. So.
Okay, I think that I will stick with the claves, because they're kind of the foundation of it all. So I'll play the clave beat, you'll hear that again. If you look at me, you can clap along with my beat. And like we did last time, I'll start it and then they'll add in, okay? Ready, everybody? Mm-hmm. If I go ahead and use the guiro. Let's just start all together then. You can play whatever you want. Ready, and play, and. All right, next. Now, we have a couple more of the Latin instrument here. These are the castanets. Now you might see castanets like this with dancers, and they would just hold them in their hands. These are classical percussion castanets, so I play them on my knee. Let me just see if I can go up here and put my knee here, and you can see a little bit better. They're pretty cool sounding. I really like those a lot. Okay, now we're going to do some more playing with you, but I want to have Nathan introduce the cajon to you. Now I'm going to pick it up here so you can see it. Now the reason that Nathan's going to introduce the cajon is because he actually built this cajon himself. All right, here you go, Nathan.
So this is called the cajon, which, if any of you out there know Spanish, it kind of sounds like the word for box. And that's pretty much all that it is. So in Latin America, specifically Peru, when the slaves came over from Africa, the slave owners noticed that they were doing all this music and it was inspiring them and giving them life. And the slave owners did not want that because then they were more likely to run away. So they outlawed all music, but the slaves from Africa, being smart, they would take everything that they could. This was drawers, these were crates that fruits were in, and they would drum on those. And so when slave owners would walk by, it was just like they just had a drawer, not that it was a musical instrument. So the cajon today is not just a box, though. It has some snares, which we'll learn about later in the snare drum. And so
They're inside on the wood. Might not be able to see them.
if you can see inside there. And so those are the metal things in there. So how you play the cajon is you sit on top of it, just like they would, and then it's kind of two sounds. So you have a bass sound, and then a snare sound. And so basically, just this little box can be a whole drum set. And so, that's all I can do.
Thank you, Nathan. Now stay right there, because I'm going to bring the conga over here, and let's play again. And if any of you would like to join in, you could as well. Okay. It'll be like 1, 2, 3, 4. Just do one more thing with our Latin percussion and just feel all the little, sometimes in percussion we call them all the little toys at once. If you grab the cabasa and the guiro and the maracas and the claves. And we'll play all together with these much lighter sounds. All right? I'm going to go back to the actual clave beat here, and we're going to just listen for that in the context of that. And again, if you're trying to play along at home, you just clap along with my clave beat. Very nice. All right, I hope you learned something here about our Latin instruments, and next we'll be going to Africa. This instrument here is a djembe, and you can see it has this distinct shape to it. And one thing that's super cool about the djembe, which is from Africa, is that it's made from a single piece of wood hollowed out here. So it isn't a top and a bottom, but it's been made in that shape from that. It has these cords along the side, that hold the head on, and this is actually a goat skin head. And another fun thing about the djembe is that it's how you choose the size that you play is kind of like the size of you. So if you're a little small person, you play a smaller drum, and if you're a bigger person, you play a bigger drum, because it's all about feeling comfortable with the drum. So let me show you a couple of sounds on the djembe. And the sound that I like is right in the middle here. Is that real low sound? So that's the djembe. Then the next thing that I have here and from Africa is the shekere. And this is made out of an actual gourd. This is a gourd, it's not plastic. And then the little beads on the outside in this particular shekere are actually also some kind of wooden, like a branch that has been cut up into little pieces. And so it makes that sound kind, and you can play it rhythmically. And has a neat sound here too. And you can also, and it's an instrument that I think is pretty cool and sounds pretty cool. Should I pull that one? Okay. Now, I said Africa, but I actually have a couple of instruments here that are close to Africa. This is called a doumbek, and this is from the Middle East, a Persian instrument, and it is really pretty. And one of the big distinctive things about it that makes it sound so different than the djembe is it is made of metal. I don't know if you can see inside, maybe it's made of metal. So the doumbek sounds a lot different. Now the Middle Eastern sounds are characteristic to have like really complicated rhythms and fast moving with fingers. So that's the doumbek with that distinct sound. And one more instrument that I want to show you probably had its origins in Africa, but this is actually an Irish instrument. It's called a bow drum. It looks like a regular frame drum, but it has this cross in the back, and you hold it there. And this has a calfskin head as well. And this little tool, if you're an expert at it, which I'm not, is your mallet to play, so you can use both sides. You see it's rounded on both ends. That's how I usually end up playing it. Hi, you can see now that we've added the conga back in. Nathan has the bow drum, Jonathan has the doumbek, and I have the djembe. And we're going to do some African drumming together. And one of the distinct things about African drumming is that it's very community oriented. It's based in an egalitarian society, so that there's not like a primary soloist that stands out like a virtuoso and then a complement. It's like everybody's equal. And what I want you to do is listen to the different instruments as they play. And you'll notice that we can hear, I'm going to play one rhythm, and Jonathan and Nathan and Jenny, but then when we get all together, we form this great complex rhythm that we wouldn't have been able to do just all on our own. So we'll start this through. Now grab your spoons or your hands and clap along with us for this first part. You're going to do one with me, and you're going to do 2, 3. Ready, set, go. 2, 3. Together, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. Great. So we kind of learned how our different parts interact. So what we're going to do this time is we're going to have Jenny be our heartbeat. She's going to do all the beats. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. start that, I'm going to be the 1, Jonathan's going to be the 2, 3, okay? At a certain point, I may go to a different beat, but you just keep your 2, 3s. You can even reach over here and do that if you want, okay? And then Nathan, you're going to be the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, okay? All right, let's start out here, and we're gonna start with Jenny with the basic pulse. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, super. Now, you don't have those drums at home like we have probably, but anything that you have, like little plastic containers, they all work to make sounds. And just experiment around with them. You don't want to hurt them, but like... And different ones can surprise you. This little guy might have a big sound even though it's small. Isn't that crazy? You never know. And you can do all these rhythms at home just like we just did. Can I just quickly pass these out to you and we could do just a little bit of the same thing except for we're using just instruments you might have at home. Okay, so we'll just do the we'll just do what we did just now unless somebody wants to switch parts. All right, ready, set, go. 1, 2, 3. Isn't that great? So you can do this at home. Now I want to just bring out one more home instrument for you, and that is a big bucket. All right? This is like a paint bucket, like, I don't know, 5-gallon or something like that. And it makes lots and lots of cool sounds if you have one like this at home. It can have an edge sound, a middle sound, a side sound, and you can even like do that if you wanted to do it. So you can play all kind of fancy things on here. And it's just a bucket. So you could enjoy that at home too. For our final segment here in today's musical adventure, we're going to talk about a couple of instruments that really did have their origins in Africa, but have become an American sound that you're probably used to. The first one I want to show you is the tambourine. And the tambourine is like the frame drum, like the Bodron drum. It has that same shape, but it has these little jingles on it. See that? Can you see? All right, so we can play rhythms on it. We can shake it. And we can also do a thumb roll on it. And then if we want to do something fast with it, we can use our knee. Tambourine, all right? And sitting right in front of me is a snare drum. Now the snare drum is called the snare drum because of the snares that run across the bottom. They give a vibrating sound across the bottom head. And this particular snare drum has 3 different kinds of snares on it to give it an especially nice sound. So on a snare drum, if I have a little lever over here, and if I take it off, and so the snares aren't hitting the bottom, it just sounds like this. But if I put the snares on, it has that characteristic snare drum sound. heard a snare drum like in a marching band or in an orchestra or in a drum set, there's also the snare drum. Now, on the snare drum, it's a really cool thing because it might seem like it's always loud, but actually it can be really soft. Now, on the snare drum, one last thing I wanted to show you is that you'll notice that I was rolling. That's the sustained sound that we get on the snare drum. So I want to show you what we call a long roll. And maybe if you can kind of focus on my hands here, it's going to start out open and then close. And it's going to look like my hands are moving really fast. They aren't moving that fast, but the sticks have a lot of bounces, so it creates that. That's called the long roll on the snare drum. Well, we've come to the end of our adventure today. I'm glad that you were able to join us, and maybe you learned a little thing about percussion. And you know, you can make these percussion sounds at home. One really good, great sounding one is an old bucket. It's just like a bucket from the hardware store, or even just pots and pans or plastic tubs, and you can have some fun playing together with people like we did here today. Again, I'm Sharon Hickox from Notable Music Therapy Services, and we're out of Reno, Nevada. We're doing these free for the community, so if you feel like you have the ability to make a donation, there's information below for you to do that. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you again next time.